Hey, first squad, this is going to be our squad brief for Lab 7, which is going to be a platoon recon. This is going to be pretty close to what a squad recon was, just with a little extra steps and a little more moving around. So for this lab, we're going to start off like we always do, where we're going to form up at the drill pad and then move into the woods and set up a patrol base. I'm not going to go too in depth with what a patrol base is or how it operates, because by now we should all know, or at least have a fundamental understanding of how a patrol base works. If you still have questions or you don't understand something, you can text me on GroupMe and I'll get you that information as soon as possible, clear up any confusion you may have about them. So once we set up our patrol base, we will run through the troop leading procedures right there. The 4 that we run through in a patrol base is receive the mission, issue a warning order, or make a tentative plan, and initiate movement. So the same TLPs that we do that we've done in our past labs. The only difference is that with the mission we'll be receiving, it's going to be a little different. In this mission, we're going to be given a PIR, and a PIR stands for Priority Intelligence Requirements. And what a priority intelligence requirements are is it's a kind of a list from command saying, hey, because a recon is setting up for a larger operation, so maybe an ambush or a raid. So what priority intelligence requirements are is it's like the requirements of what you need to find on your recon. You know, it may be, hey, we want to know how many enemies there are, or if there's any tanks. Any information at all they may be wanting. That's going to be the PIR, and the mission isn't complete until you find all aspects of a PIR. The kind of another thing that's done in the patrol base that hasn't been done in our past labs is setting up our security squads and our recon squads. Realistically, our security squad is still going to be security, but recon might be assigned to AS1 or AS2, and that will be the squad that will be conducting the reconnaissance itself. So once we establish the patrol base, we go through all of our troop leading procedures, we get our mission, and our PL assigns who is going to be the recon and the security squads. Then everyone picks up and we move to our ORP. Alrighty, so we just did our platoon movement and we established our ORP, which is going to be a few hundred meters off of our objectives. Now this is going to be a an area reconnaissance, which means that we have our one objective in mind and we kind of know where it is, and then we're setting reconnaissance for that area. If this was a zone reconnaissance, then we would be doing a recon over a large area and looking for multiple objectives, or in our case, enemy emplacements. But that's not the case, so we're just doing an area. So we'll set up our ORP, drop our rucks just like last lab, and then what's going to happen is we're going to send out our leaders recon, which is going to be the same people that we usually send on our leaders recon. However, what can happen is that the PL decides to take his security and his recon units over there, so they don't have to come back and grab them. They can just go there, set up their SNO team and rally point, and then start the reconnaissance automatically. So they'll go close to the objective and they'll set up their SNO team. Same 2 people, same saw and grenadier set up as their SNO team on the rally point. In this case, we will have one facing towards the objective and one facing away from the objective, so they can keep kind of 360-degree security for themselves and can see if people are coming. Also, just a quick side note, this won't really affect us because more than likely it'll be notional, but usually when conducting a platoon reconnaissance like this, we'll have a rear security that would be like out that way, kind of on the lower left side of the ORP, or just wherever we could expect enemies coming from, but that won't be the case. So our leaders recon take our security and take our reconnaissance, and then they'll set up their SNO, and then they will begin conducting the reconnaissance. Now, if they set up the SNO team and they can just see everything in the objective and they can get the proper information required for their PIR, then that's the reconnaissance. They can just pull them back and then they're done and they're out of there quick. More than likely, that's not how lab is going to go. More than likely, we won't set up our SNO team in a spot where they can do that. So part of the SNO's job is obviously to make sure that no one's going to come in towards them, and so they can mark that rally point and direct people. But also in this case, they're going to be looking for vantage points that the PL can send people to use to get information on the objective without being close. So like if this is the objective and there's a hill up here, the SNO team would be like, hey, there's a hill up here. That could be a good vantage point to send a recon unit, one of the reconnaissance team, and the PL can use that information however they deem. So, so as stated before, the security element in this reconnaissance is more than likely going to be the security team. It can be another squad besides weapon squad. Weapon squad is going to stay back at the ORP. So it could be any of the three squads. More than likely, it's going to be security. And then they're going to have that recon squad, which is going to be more than likely one of the two AS teams. So the PL brings the security squad and the recon squad, which is one of the AS teams, with him on the leader's recon. They set their SNO, and then what happens is that the PL sets up his security. Now, more than likely, the way they're going to do that is that they're going to have one of the fire teams on each side of the SNO. It'll probably be farther away than this, but this is kind of the area that they'd be occupying. So we'll just do T1 and T2. Oh, shit. T2, yeah. All right. So set up their these security squads, and these security guys, they have kind of the same role they had in the ambush, where they're not really keeping eyes directly on the objective, but they're more out here watching kind of this area, right? Making sure that no one's coming up on the flank, and depending on how the recon teams move around, they may shift their firing, their area of fire, to make sure that they're not shooting any of the recon guys, or at least not pointing at them. So they'll set this up, and then that is when we will have the recon teams conduct their reconnaissance. So when they conduct the reconnaissance, more than likely the PL will just kind of tell the squad leader of whatever squad's chosen to be recon to kind of just go recon, and he usually gets kind of free reign over the way they want to conduct that recon. The first method is the box method, and the way that works is you break up, in all these you can break up into two to three teams. So in this case, well, for the box method, they break up, more than likely it'll be the two fire teams, and then they will break off, and they will go around the objective just like this, and then meet up at another rally point. And so the way this works is they break off, so we'll do this team 1 and team 2. So set up, break off into those two teams, go, and then they will walk kind of around the objective, trying to move, find a better vantage point to see over and get eyes on the objective. And then they meet up at a rally point, and then when they're done, they just come back to the objective. While they're doing that, another group will come just straight forward to the objective and try to get kind of front eyes on it. And that could be like the squad leader, maybe a team, and maybe someone else that he pulled from another fire team. So that's kind of the box method. And then so that's the box method. And then we have, hold on one second. Alrighty. So we have our box method. Another one that we can do is the, let me just double check, make sure I'm not missing anything. So another one is we have, so the other one we have is kind of clover or fan method, where you just have your teams, and instead of going straight, you just kind of go out and then come back and out, come back, out, come back, out, come back. Okay. So the difference between this one and you can also do the clover method, but this one is just coming out of the front, and then with the clover method, you're going all around the objective. And the final one is converging routes. And the way this one works is it's kind of like the box method, but kind of not, where you would just be going out and just coming like here. So you're not really going around the objective. It's kind of more the front of the objective. But you send your two teams out, and they kind of all kind of converge in one kind of area. So this is the area that they're converging in. So just come here and then go back, and they can kind of take these trips as many times as they need to gather the proper PIRs. So those are kind of the recon, the different ways that the recon squad can conduct that reconnaissance. So alrighty. So now that we kind of covered what the recon's squad's job is and kind of how they can do that job, just to kind of quickly go over kind of what security is doing here. Security's job is just to make sure that kind of isolate the objective. They don't want anyone coming in from the sides and disrupting their operation, but they're also there to in case the recon element gets discovered and they need help, they need suppressing fire, and if so, then these two security elements would shift their fire and maybe shoot in the air, kind of over the objective to give suppressing fire to allow the recon teams to pull out. Yeah. So for our lab, the PL can decide to take everyone out to the recon and have everyone do the recon, but having a platoon size element trying to be kind of sneaky and move around the objective, more than likely it's not going to work, and we would get spotted. So what's more likely going to happen is, like kind of said before, everyone on the leader's recon will be the ones on the objective doing the reconnaissance, which in this case will probably be security squad, an assault squad, and then the S&O team from squad 4. And then everyone else will be back in our OOP, kind of pulling security and making sure no one's coming up from behind. Now, obviously that's going to be really boring during our lab, if we get stuck as a weapon squad or one of these squads that are staying back here. So what's more likely what they want us to do then is that the PSG and some of the squad leaders will create a terrain model kit, and then they will be constantly pulling people in to update everyone on what's going on with the leaders, the reconnaissance element of this operation. Updating them, saying, hey, they finished their recon, or they're doing it, or like one of them got spotted and the enemies on the objective might be pushing back, pushing towards them. But so mainly all we'd be doing if we end up being one of the squads on ORP is just rehearsals, quizzing, making sure that, obviously we want to use that time to better our understanding and learning. It's going to suck, but it is what it is. So if you're a squad leader in the ORP, your job is to make sure you're conducting rehearsals with the rest of your squad. PSG is going to be updating you on what's going on with the reconnaissance, and then you need to disseminate that to your lowers. And then more than likely, they're going to allow us. Sounds like they're going to allow us to be at around 30% security for this, to allow us to conduct those rehearsals with the terrain model that we'll build and all of that. But one thing that they do want us to stress is that while they will be allowing us to do that, they want it to still stay tactical. So they want to, obviously we're only at 30, they're going to allow us probably around 30% security. So it's not like super tactical, but they don't want us talking at like a normal voice, just walking around the ORP. So like when you're doing rehearsals or you're talking to someone, like quizzing them, you want to get next to them, maybe lay down behind them or take a knee behind them and then kind of whisper it just so we can still stay in that tactical environment. So once the recon is done, which is when we fill out all the requested PIRs, the reconnaissance team will pull back and they'll pull their security and everyone will move back to the ORP. Once they all go through the rally point so they can get accountability, then they'll go to the ORP, grab the rucks, head back to a patrol base, either go back to the old patrol base or set up a new one. And then that's when they would send up that the mission is complete. And the way that we'd be doing that this lab is sending up a salute report that has all the information required from the PIR. So you'd be like, hey, like if the PIR said you needed to, we need to know how many people there are. More than likely they're going to ask for more. But let's just say they just asked for how many people are on the objective. Then you'd go like Eagle 1 is Eagle 2 or whatever, and setting a salute report, and they go, okay, Eagle 1, send away. And then you go, hey, there's 12 enemies on the objective. So that's kind of how you complete the mission. And then obviously kind of the last thing with this and kind of the most important is this is a reconnaissance. So do not get spotted. Remember your individual movement techniques. Remember low crawl, high crawl. You'll probably be utilizing those two the most if you're on the reconnaissance. Try not to get spotted. Also, if you have them, bring binoculars that can help us out. If we have like a hill over here, but it's too far away to really see what's going on over here. But if someone brings binoculars, then they can look and see, hey, there's a gun, there's a cache of ammo over there. There's 3 soldiers over there. So that's another thing. So obviously, if you don't have it, it's not a required item, so it's not the end of the world. But just kind of think of that when you're doing it. Also, just kind of another last tidbit is if you're on recon, don't bring anything that you need extra, right? You're on a reconnaissance, you're not expecting to take contact. And if you do, you have your security elements to help you get back. So, you don't really need to bring your flick, right? Your entire flick. You don't need to bring that. That's going to just put extra weight on you. That's more stuff dragging on the ground that could get caught on branches, making them snap, all that, and get you spotted. So just kind of think, that's probably the best way to put it. Just use your brain, if there's a better way to maybe sneak around so you won't get spotted, then just do that, right? More than likely, they're going to give us a big time frame to conduct this reconnaissance, so you don't need to be hauling through the woods trying to get to your rally point when you need to be and then hauling back, right? So just good time management and just thinking through while you're doing the operation. So that's kind of it. The code word for this video is bananas. So just text me that when you've watched this entire video, and I'll be sending out a quiz later. All right, that's it. See you guys later.